Hello everybody. Um, Today I want to talk about a Neurobass rack that I made for one of my solo projects. Um, it is kind of a modification of other Neurobasses that are around there. It's mostly based on, I think, it's either Underbelly's or Frequence's tutorial where he goes over um, a glue compressor and auto filter based Neurobass. So that's kind of the basis on which I'm building this bass patch on. So without further ado, let's get started with a synth. I'm gonna go with Serum, but you can honestly use pretty much any other synth for this. What I like to do is go over to the table editor and just clear all and pull out just a clean sub and pull out some of these like harmonic overtones, something like that, for example. You can always play around with these, use some other kind of wave shape, but I'm gonna go with a slightly more harmonically rich sine wave. And with that, we're gonna grab a glue compressor and just crank the makeup gain to like plus 16, so it's gonna sound like that. And then hit it with an OTT at around 60%. So that kind of crushes everything down and brings out those like high-end artifacts. And then we can start playing around a little bit with filtering. So here I'm gonna build just like a notch around 120 Hertz or so, and then carve out the frequencies ahead of it, like so, and then bump up the frequencies around 500 Hertz to 1K, like so, and then add another glue compressor again at like 16 decibels to again get that nasty burr. And then we get the more interesting part of this patch, which is auto filters. So this entire sound is kind of based on moving these notch filters around to get a lot of interesting movement. So what I'm gonna do is record just a single note like that, and let's just get it aligned with the grid and just go into the auto filter and kind of pull out some kind of movement, maybe something like that, and then all of these are like not set to any rule. You can just kind of adjust these envelope curves as much as you want, and play around with the rhythm of the filter. Especially if you have like already a some kind of song structure done, you can use that filter to emphasize certain parts of the song. And then we're gonna add a bit more saturation. Let's crank that to around +8 and then duck out the output about the same value. So now we get this really weird sounding bass, and we're gonna add an EQ, just a low pass filter that's automated from maybe around like 30 hertz to 600 hertz. So again, the same thing that we did with the auto filter. You don't really have to match any of these like filter curves or automations or anything like that. The interesting part of this bass sound actually comes from the interplay between different filters and the rhythms that you come up with. So let's do something like that. So it's a bit faster than what we did with the auto filter. And next up, another clue compressor. Again, crank that makeup gain, and another auto filter, and just do the same thing, filtering around like anywhere from like, well, 26 hertz to 600 hertz. That's around the area that I like to work with, but obviously you can go higher if you want like those broader sweeps around the frequency spectrum. Something like that, for example. And then we distort it again with a glue compressor with cranked makeup gain and hit another OTT, like so. Now it sounds like an angry beehive or something like that. And then just kinda with an EQ boost out the low end and cut some of the like boxy muddy frequencies around 100 hertz, and also a little bit around the 500 to 1K area, like so. And then we're gonna add another auto filter, but this time we're gonna turn it into a group with Control or Command G to create a group, and create two chains where on the other chain we're gonna delete the auto filter. So let's call this the dry and the wet channel. You can rename these with either right clicking and rename or control R. So with this auto filter we're gonna turn it into a band pass at 12 decibels per octave and set the resonance to around 40 to 50, something like that. And then again, with this one, you want to keep the maximum frequency around 300 Hertz. It's easier to automate if we disable the dry. So now you can kind of hear how with this bandpass filter we get those like areas where there's like considerably more sub to the bass, and also those where there's like a bit more high frequencies. So that's something you can play with on this one. And again, we get more and more of that nice filter movement and interplay between those different filters. And now we can bring in the dry signal. To add some of that beehive buzz to it. So that sounds pretty good. And then we're gonna hit it with another OTT around 60% wet. Like so. And yet another clue compressor to saturate the signal. And one last auto filter. So let's see. Maybe with this one I could go with a bit more mid-rangey movement, something like that. Something like that. And then to really get that more quote-unquote fluid vibe to it, I'm gonna add just a low pass filter around 300 Hertz. So now it sounds really muffled and kind of, well, underwatery. And the cool thing with this filter is that you can actually, depending on the song, you can kind of accentuate the high end. So something like that. So if you'd have like drums and other synths going on, you could kind of bring in this high-end bus to the bass signal to kind of, let's say, accentuate the one of the next bar. And then the last thing we're gonna add is just a reverb at around 55%. I like to put the quality around mid or high. Let's turn off the chorus. And you can play around with these parameters as you like. And decay time around 1.5 seconds. And now you can really hear when that last EQ here comes in with that high end. You get that like kind of metallic whomp. So that's pretty much it. Again, this kind of bass patch is one that kind of lives with you and the song. You can always change out the filter automations. You can maybe add even more filters or take some away. Use different wave shapes in your synthesizer. You don't even have to use Serum. You can use, well, practically any synth that can produce some kind of noises. And this also translates to other DAWs, except that you might have to kind of search out replacements for something like glue compressor or auto filter, depending on your DAW. And this kind of bass is largely used in, and where I got my kind of inspiration for this is Koan Sound's more recent albums. Songs like Vivid are ones that really kind of heavily feature this kind of muffled fluid bass. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Check out my link tree for all my social links, Twitch channel, all that good stuff, and my music. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.